Hey guys, Ethan and Darren here from the Sports Bench, and today we're here to bring you the third installment in the Kyrie Irving trade scenarios. If you're like us, then you have been pretty fascinated with this ridiculous trade request and all the destinations and trade targets and rumors, and we're here to have fun with that. So we've gone over the Atlantic Division of the Eastern Conference, we've gone over the Central Division, now we're going over the Southeast Division, and I'm excited about this one because there's a couple crappy ones and a couple good ones. What do you think, Darren?
Yeah, I'm happy we're about to get out of the stinky East. But before we go on any further, I would like to parlay this opportunity into a moment of redemption. And last video, I mangled a name, and I wanted to give it another try.
Okay.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
There you go. You know what's funny
Boom.
is I almost made like the thing where I was mocking you when you were saying it in the video, but I decided not to do it. Like I was gonna type out what you were trying to say, and yeah, but it's all right. It's good job. You nailed it.
My next moment here though is I need a safe word the next time you go on a Rubio tangent. So, what's the safe word?
How about Ricky? And then I'll think you're talking about him.
No,
Get me more excited. All right, so let's get started with the Southeast Division, and team number one is the Atlanta Hawks, and we're going to go ahead and skip the Atlanta Hawks because they don't have a single person worth a crap to trade. They are depleted of talent and of anyone with any value. The only guy you could even remotely say has value right now is Dennis Schroeder, and his value is debatable. I don't think it's that high. So I'm going to say the Atlanta Hawks just don't have a humanly possible trade scenario that works for Kyrie Irving. So we're going to go ahead and skip them. And I don't like doing that, but I just couldn't find a legitimate trade. I mean, have you seen the roster lately, Darren? Is there any way to make a trade with them happen?
I don't see it.
I don't think there is. There's so little talent on that team. Okay, so then we have this to me is a very interesting one, and I actually wonder if this could happen for real. But we have the Charlotte Hornets, and let me tell you guys the trade real quick. We're going for Kyrie Irving, J.R. Smith, for Kemba Walker, Cody Zeller, Malik Monk, the first-round pick of this year's draft, and next year's first-round pick for the Charlotte Hornets, which will probably not even be a lottery pick because I assume they'll make the playoffs with the team they have left because they'll have Kyrie and Nicholas Batum and Kid Gilchrist and Marvin Williams and Dwight Howard. So let's have a pretty decent team still. But can we talk about the possibility of having Kemba Walker and Cody Zeller on the Cleveland Cavaliers?
We can. And I know you're a huge Cody Zeller fan, just insanely into Cody Zeller. But I'm probably as insanely into Kemba Walker as that. I think Kemba Walker is better than Kyrie Irving. I would, if I was doing a fantasy draft, or not a fantasy draft, let's say an expansion draft, I would take Kemba Walker over Kyrie. Easy.
So those are some fighting words for some people out there. Some controversial words. I happen to think you're not far off from the mark, and so we're pulling up an image now showing Kyrie Irving and Kemba Walker's last year's stats compared to each other. Now, I want you to take one thing into account when you look at this, and that's this. Kemba Walker did not play with LeBron James last season. Can we all agree that playing with LeBron James adds a bunch of value? Are we agreed on that?
Yes.
So,
C.
What he did was sans LeBron James. So it's worth more, in my opinion. And so let's take a look. So we got Kyrie averaging 25.2 points a game, Kemba averaging 23.2. So 2 points less per game exactly. Shooting 3% less on the field goal percentage, but same on the three-point. But you know what the difference is I want to say Kyrie made like 173s last year. And let me look it up real quick while we're talking. But I think Kemba made 243s last year. I got it pulled up. Let's see. Kyrie had 177 three-pointers. Kemba Walker made 240 three-pointers. That's a lot of extra three-pointers. And you're not talking, and Kemba doesn't even have the luxury of catching and shooting threes from LeBron James himself. So that's actually impressive. I think, obviously, that shows Kemba's really a better 3-point shooter than Kyrie. And then
Kemba's got the same late game carry that Kyrie's got, though. It's comparable.
Kemba's a clutch player himself, absolutely. I mean, he hasn't made one in the finals yet, but he's made a lot of really important buzzer beater shots for that organization nonetheless.
When he was in college, though,
he
had big game moments, definitely big game moments. He was a college player of the year, I think, his junior year, or in the running for it. I think he lost out to Jimmer Fredette, but it was neck and neck. So he's a big game baller.
Yeah, and here's the other piece I wanted to kind of open up for the table too is Kemba scored this many points per game, 2 points less per game, shooting 1.5 less times per game. So you're talking about actually very, very comparable to each other in their actual scoring numbers. They're virtually on par. So you got Kemba averaging 5.5 assists, Kyrie averaging 5.8, and you go, yeah, well, Kyrie's in with LeBron. Well, Kemba also shares the ball distribution responsibilities with Nicholas Batum quite a bit. Steals per game are almost identical. Kemba turns the ball over less than Kyrie. And then the big piece that we focus on a lot is defense. Kyrie Irving allowed other opposing point guards to shoot 5.2% higher field goal percentage than their season averages, while Kemba actually held them to slightly below their season average. So Kemba's about an average defender. Kyrie is essentially a turnstile, and he just lets people score at will.
He's not in Steve Nash's category, though.
Who?
Kyrie. Like Steve Nash.
I absolutely think he is.
You think he's a piece of tissue paper?
Absolutely. I mean, do I think... Now, the difference being is that
people
run
right through Steve Nash.
During Kyrie's season, he can turn his defense up a little bit and be better. Steve Nash wasn't capable of that. But if Kyrie Irving plays like trash 95% of the season on the defensive end, then that's what I'm going to attribute to him. I don't give a crap that he tries 5% of the time.
Sometimes that help is coming from LeBron James. It's a little easier to defend when you know that you got one of the best defenders to ever play the game coming to have your back.
Of course. And so all this to say that I don't think that this really hurts the Cavs that much. This is a pretty... You think Kemba's better. I think if he's not, it's close. Kemba's a great player, very underrated. He's a one of my favorite things about Kemba is that he's a better mid-range shooter. Kemba's a phenomenal mid-range shooter. He's a better 3-point shooter. Kyrie's probably better at the hoop, probably by a little bit, but Kemba's a much superior defender. And I can only imagine what Kemba's numbers would look like. I mean, Kemba may shoot 44% from three next year if he has freaking, LeBron James throwing him darts right in the money. I mean, it's just crazy. So then you got the Kemba aspect of this whole thing. And then you got Cody Zeller. And that is a big time upgrade to the Cavaliers in the sense of rim protection, interior defense, and then overall winning. I mean, look. So some of the stuff that we put about Cody Zeller here. That was actually one of the big controversial things. Cody got taken number 4 in the 2013 draft. People were like, "Oh man, what a big reach! Cody didn't deserve to go number 4." The Hornets, terrible pick. Cody Zeller actually has the most. I know that not everyone's a huge metric fan out there. And I know you're one of those guys who doesn't really like metric stats that much. But Cody Zeller,
you'll learn real quick. Ethan loves stats. I am more of an eye test guy, but that's what makes the beauty of talking sports. You get your yin and your yang.
Yeah. So Cody Zeller is number 1 in win shares amongst the top 10 picks taken in the 2013 draft. And last year he was the number 5 center in real plus minus from ESPN.com. His last 2 seasons, he had a plus 14 and a plus 17 net on the offensive defensive rating via basketballreference.com per 100 possessions. And then he is number 1 in the NBA in screen assists, which means that he sets really solid screens that people score off of. That's per NBA.com also. Per 36 minutes, Cody set 7.7 screen assists. So that means that almost 8 screens a game Cody sets in which his point guard scores the basket, or his screen is responsible for the basketball being scored. I actually really enjoy the screen assist stat. I don't know if you've seen that one or not yet, but it's a pretty neat stat. And Cody is essentially the best screen setter in the NBA.
I grew up watching the screen, so longtime Jazz fan initially, so I've seen plenty of screens. I appreciate a good screen when I see it, and I do agree with you.
Okay, so that is the Hornets trade. Now we're going to move on to the Heat trade, and I'm going to bring up this little slide for Goran Dragic.
Actually, it's funny to mention, too, that Ethan initially had Nicholas Batum included in this trade, and at this point, it may even be possible that Walker and Zeller are too much to give for Kyrie. That's a lot of value.
I don't know if I'd go that far. The NBA undervalues Kemba and Zeller. They're both underrated players in the NBA. And Kyrie, we both agree, is overvalued. So I think I actually included Malik Monk and a first-round pick also because the Cavs are always looking for something for the future in case, LeBron dips out. So I agree with you on a personal level, but I think in the NBA circles that is not the case.
Fair enough.
But so moving on to the Heat, we have I'll go over the actual trade itself. We've got Kyrie Irving, J.R. Smith for Goran Dragic, Tyler Johnson, Winslow, and the rookie Adebayo, and not the 18th first round pick because they don't own that pick, but the 19th first round pick, the 2019 first round pick. I'm not a huge fan of this trade. Tyler Johnson's a good off the bench guy. I think Justin Winslow has really not done anything in the NBA to be worth anything. Adebayo looks good.
His defense is fairly touted though.
Yeah, but you can't stay on the court when you play offense the way he does.
Yeah, he doesn't play good offense. I agree.
It's not like he just has no redeeming factors on the offensive end of the court, and that's kind of unacceptable.
And he's not even considered like a stopper.
Correct. So. Tyler Johnson's actually a really solid bench player. Like, he's a really solid player. Adebayo is the first round pick of this year. Great defensive big man. Or supposed to be. He hasn't really played yet. And then we have the first round pick of the 2019 draft. So they're getting obviously 3 young players in Winslow, Adebayo, first round pick, and then they're getting Dragic and Johnson, who will be able to contribute next year. I don't really like this pick for the Cavs that much. Now, obviously, as you can see in the graphic we pulled up here, Dragic isn't far off from Kyrie either. He's a better defender. He's average, same as Kemba Walker, 0.1% less field goal percentage allowed. Same assists, same steals, a little bit more on the turnover side. Better shooting percentages, 5 points less a game. I think that would probably go up to 50%, 42%, and then probably 25 points a game playing next to LeBron. He has nobody on that Heat team who can really give him the ball. He has to create everything. Dragic's a great spot-up shooter, so I don't know. This trade's okay. If the Cavs can't find anything better, they could definitely do worse. Like, for example, our next trade.
Well, before we go from the Heat, Pat Riley's always he's a smart front office person, so he can make this kind of trade work. If he gets Kyrie and starts. The Heat were successful last year, so they don't need a whole lot of pieces to stay successful or get better.
And these pieces besides Dragic, the extras that I included in here didn't make them successful last year. Tyler Johnson was a solid contributor off the bench, but he wasn't a piece that really carried them to the playoffs. Now, what the Heat would have is a core of Kyrie Irving and Whiteside, which is what they want. A big-time center and a big-time point guard, but...
And as long as Kyrie stays healthy, he provides your scoring.
That team's making the playoffs next year. But that team's going to make the playoffs next year.
They were a big surprise last year, though.
Yeah. So, I don't love this trade, but I love it a lot more than the next one. And the next one, the reason why I say that is because that is with the Orlando Magic. And as you guys know, the Orlando Magic don't have a whole lot. So I kind of had to gut the entire team to make a trade happen with the Magic.
Yeah, this one's kind of like the Hawks.
Kyrie Irving, well, the only reason this one worked is because they had more young talent. So Kyrie Irving, J.R. Smith for Evan Fournier. So Evan Fournier to me is kind of on par with Dennis Schroeder. And then you throw Aaron Gordon, who is really good at dunking the ball, but hasn't really made himself a career yet. He's not really carved out his place in the NBA. Elfrid Payton, who's a pretty good defensive point guard, but not super good offensively. And then we have Isaac, the first-round pick of this year, and then their first-round pick next year. Not a great trade. I don't see how this makes the Cavs better next year. I think this makes them pretty much worse. Now, it does give them some good young talent. It's the Magic's last 3 first-round picks, plus their first-round pick next year. So if the Cavs are really looking to prepare for the future, this is the kind of trade to make. I just don't like it.
Yeah, in terms of role players, you're getting role players, bench personnel coming off the bench. It's good because Cavs need some depth, but if you're losing Kyrie, you also need to replace that. And so if you're missing out on that scoring potential, you're missing out on those points and the star potential, you need to get somebody more than these 3 guys plus a first.
This is a doable pick, but it is not one that I would go after out of all the stuff on our list. It's near the bottom, or potentially it might be the bottom. But the next trade is one I would go for, and that's with the Washington Wizards. Kyrie Irving, J.R. Smith for Bradley Beal, Markieff Morris, and the 18 first-round pick from the Wizards. Now, this would give... So why does Washington do this trade? They get to pair John Wall and Kyrie Irving in the backcourt with Otto Porter at the 3. They get to have, they still have Marcin Gortat at the 5. They don't lose a whole lot in this trade, honestly. They get a nice bench scorer in J.R. Smith, which they actually really need right now.
I don't like it because they're losing a lot of homegrown chemistry that they've built over the last couple of years.
Yes and no. Supposedly, Wall and Beal don't like each other that much. They say they do, but I've heard reports that they're not very like they've been seen fighting and stuff like that on the bench.
Well, so Kyrie and LeBron wants to punch Kyrie, so
yeah. So
shit makes sense maybe.
Dude. So here's the Beal graphic. Beal's the main piece of this trade. The Beal graphic shows you he's phenomenal. Beal is an all-star level player. He 23.1 points a game with 48% shooting from the field and 40% from 3. For a shooting guard, those numbers are outstanding. Phenomenal shooter Bradley Beal is. He allowed just above regular shooting percentages from the opposing shooting guards. So he's an average defender, which is still a huge upgrade over what the Cavs have at shooting guard now. And then he's 5th among shooting guards per ESPN.com in real plus minus. And all that means really is that he makes a difference. He's the fifth biggest difference maker at shooting guard in the NBA. And I love it. I love Bradley Beal. I think he's going to be a phenomenal piece next to LeBron James. Markieff Morris either starts. I would personally bring Thompson off the bench as a big-time energy guy. Start Markieff at the 4. And then bring Levin at the 5 and play small ball. Markieff can shoot the 3. He can rebound. He can defend. He can score. He can pass well. Markieff is actually if Markieff is kind of like a poor man's LeBron James, to be honest with you. He can kind of do everything on the court, just not nearly as good as LeBron.
Who can, though?
Nobody. If you cut all of LeBron's averages by half, that's Markieff Moore. Markieff's a pretty talented player, though. I actually really like his game. I think he would be good starting on this team and having them go small ball. Because when you go small ball with Markieff is athletic enough to run with the rest of the team. Markieff last year averaged 14 points a game, 6.5 rebounds, almost 2 assists, a steal, barely any turnovers, but he shot 46 from the field and 36 from 3, which is pretty adequate for a stretch 4.
Well, and it's obvious everyone in the league is trying to go small ball. So
Yes.
building the clone is not necessarily a bad thing if you got to keep pace with the Warriors.
And
You know? So
I did just check for you guys, and Markieff Morris did hold opponents to less than average shooting, barely. So he's about average defender. So yeah, Markieff is a nice little piece.
I checked something as well and stats.
No, I love this trade though. I think this trade makes the Cavs better, and Bradley Beal still has a couple years on his contract, and I think Morris might also. So this actually gets the Cavs a little bit more flexibility in the future. Even if LeBron darts, they still have Morris, Love, and Beal on the team, and then a pick next year. So it's not like they're left with nothing. I love this trade for the Cavs. I think this trade makes them really good. If they really wanted to, they could trade Morris, or they could trade Tristan Thompson for a point guard with with some picks.
What I really like though is the shooting percentages are right on par with Kyrie Irving, so there's just no fall off in terms of shooting.
He's better.
Yeah,
and he didn't play with LeBron James, so who knows what he could do. I mean, look at Kyle Korver, for example. Kyle Korver became a Cav last year and then shot like almost 50% from three. It was like 46% from three, up from like 38 when he was with the Hawks. I mean, playing with LeBron undoubtedly makes people better. It's unreal.
Yeah, but Kyle Korver can score 80 points a game. We both know that.
Yeah, we know that. Okay, so that is the final trade of the Southeast Division, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys are as geeked out about a potential trade with the Hornets and the Wizards as we are. Both love those trades for the Cavs. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, subscribe to the channel, throw a like down, share the video with your friends, and we are getting ready to talk about the Western Conference. I hope you guys are excited to be out of the East and into the West. But thanks for watching, guys.
I am.
And as always, till next time.
Yeah, till next time.